What's up, everybody? It's me, Greg Miller, and welcome to Gregway. If you didn't know, Gregway, of course, is your Patreon exclusive show you get each and every month on, of course, patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Or no, that's not right. Patreon.com/kindoffunny. You get it if you're gold over on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. And of course, it's a brand new world, brave new world here for Kind of Funny as we work from home. So this isn't the first Gregway from home, but it's the first Gregway recorded while we are on work from home duty. And so you might be saying, if you're a video listener, wait a second, Greg. Wait a second. That's Animal Crossing behind you. What are you doing? Now that we're working from home and things are a lot different, we need to have a whole lot of solutions. And so I need to get back into streaming/OBS shape, if you will. And so I figured what better way than testing my own equipment and my own prowess for being able to set things up than clicking on over to my own OBS, setting up the new Aver card, doing all the stuff with the PC tower or whatever, building out this little box. Andy made the border. Thank you, Andy. And getting ready here. So I figured Gregway, while I go around and do my normal BS in Animal Crossing of, shaking my trees, getting my logs, getting all my wood and stuff, I would just record Gregway and talk to you there. And then it would double as behind the scenes when Greg starts streaming again and has to do stuff. You'll be like, oh, I already knew Greg was gonna do that because I watch Gregway and I support them on patreon.com/kindoffunny and patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Remember, if you're over on just one of them, let's just say you're giving me the $1 here because of course this is your $1 exclusive show, never goes anywhere else. Remember that you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and you can get Blessway over there, even though he renamed it Bless Up. Garbage name. First he copied me and then he just stole this Bless Up thing. I'm gonna keep fiddling with the camera too. Like I said, you're here. You're here because you want to be in the butcher shop. You want to see me kill this cow. God damn this fucking cord. That's better. I'll take that. If I move, I hate it when you think it's gonna go the right way and then it doesn't go the right way. I guess I want to be centered like this, looking at this way. So I should move like this, do it like this, do it like that. You heard Porty walk by a little while ago. He's here. He'll make an appearance, I'm sure. All right, we're good with that. Get my phone out of the way, make this look presentable. So yeah, let's get into it. Remember, of course, on patreon.com/kindoffunny, you can come over, ask me all sorts of questions. I'll answer them here in this very intimate chat where you get to hang out with me and we get to do whatever. We're gonna start with Alexander Kozina. What up, Alexander? Hey, Greg. As someone who has started to use Twitter increasingly more often to promote what I do, Twitch streaming, podcasts, etc., I find myself becoming guilty if too many of my tweets within a span of time are me promoting something. Parentheses, I want to have a good relationship with my followers and not have them start thinking that they're just there so I can profit off of them. Do you ever find yourself dealing with this guilt? What are some techniques you use in order to ensure your Twitter timeline isn't just inundated with self-promotion? Well, of course, this is a huge problem, Alexander, and I'm sure as many people would tell you, I am Greg Miller, and all I do is self-promote. It's something I had to get over, man, and I think it's something you'll have to get over too. I always talk about that VidCon we went to, where it really turned me on to YouTube, got me to make the Game Over Greggy channel, got me to start doing everything there. That also came with a panel about promoting yourself on Twitter. And, I always joke around about it, right? That when I started this whole thing and when I started the YouTube channel back when it was Game Over Greggy, I was like, 70,000 followers on Twitter. I'm going to tweet. I'll probably get 50,000 views an episode. And that's not what happened or happens, right? Such a minuscule part of your audience sees that. And I didn't understand it until I went to VidCon and listened to people talk there. And they were like, and one of the very specific things, hey, when you tweet something, only 1% of your audience sees it at any given time. So the lady was like, you should not be afraid to promote your stuff more often. You should, promote it 3 times a day. And if you remember back in the day for Game Over Greggy, it would be that I had what I think it was 6 o'clock, noon, and then 6 p.m. I had stuff going up on Twitter promoting the same video for the day. Different wording, but still it was oration. It was a conversation with Colin. It was whatever was new and hot for that day. And when we moved to Kind of Funny, we did that for a while. I remember when Colin was doing social media for us, he would do the same thing. And I want to say, I think at that point we backed off doing all, because there were so many shows now. There were so many different things happening. We weren't doing it might have been that, I'm fucking this whole story up. It might have been that I think before we went independent, it was, hey, every one of us is doing 3 times a day. And then when we went independent and there were so many shows and there was so much happening, I think that's when we scheduled it. Because now, 4 people are on a podcast. That's 4 tweets. If we schedule those out systematically and retweet each other, it should work out. I'm pretty sure that's what we went and did for a while there. And so that worked. But that doesn't even matter for you. Back to you here. The thing I don't know, Alexander, is how much content you're making and how big an audience you have. I would say I would say don't be afraid to do more. I know that's scary, of course. You don't want to scare people away. You don't want to piss them off. I got comments when I started doing it, right? Of just like, hey, I already saw this. I don't want to do the, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, no, I get that. Like, I get that it's not for everybody, but it's a pill you have to swallow if you, I think, want to support a content creator. That you have to understand that there's no advertising, right? We're not going to buy Instagram ads. We're not going to be able to do that. The only way to do this and then support people is the things you like. When you like a show, retweet it. Even if you don't have time to go watch it, retweet that. Be part of that. Interact with that. Do it so it's discoverable, right? So people can, in fact, actually find this content and go support their favorite creators. Just like I am in this thing, wearing my Snowbike Mike t-shirt here in Animal Crossing. If you're an audio listener, I swear we won't talk a lot about Animal Crossing. You'll just hear it in the background as I work on stuff and chop on stuff. It'll probably drive you crazy, and I'm sorry, but we have to try things here. And Gregway can be whatever it needs to be. So yeah, I wouldn't be... The guilt you just have to get over. It's the same way of when we got the first Game Over Greggy t-shirts that said, the black shirts that said Game Over Greggy. And I remember looking at Tim being like, I kind of feel like a clown wearing my name on my own name on my shirt. And Tim's like, you got to get over that. Everybody does this. This is how it is. And sure enough, he was right? Like, it is just how this business works of, if you're not going to promote yourself, no one else is going to do it for you. Like, if you want to grow and you want to, find more best friends. In our case, you want to grow the company, you want to grow the reach of it, you have to get out there and promote. And sadly, self-promotion is the way. And I know it can feel weird, but the people who are following you should be there because, hey, I want to support this person. I like what they're saying. I like what they're doing. And I'd love it to be shared with more people. And so it's also good advice for everybody out here. If you ever, definitely Kind of Funny content. I know you might think, oh man, Kind of Funny already does so well. Well, I don't need to take care of them. It's huge when you guys retweet something, because you will find that even as small, no matter how small you are, you have someone on your Twitter feed for sure who does not follow us and does not know us and does not care. And 90% of the retweets of our content you do for them might never go anywhere. They might never do it. But that one day you're going to tweet an MCU thing or a James Bond in review, and they're going to be like, oh, I like James Bond. Let's check this out. That's how word of mouth works, and it is very important. And so it is important for you to promote yourself. And then it's also important for you to have an audience, encourage your audience, I guess, to go in there and do it as well. Promote you know what I'm saying. Paul Holden writes in, of course, patreon.com/kindoffunny, just like you can. It says, I'm looking for ways to get started in games media, but I find my true passion to be in the podcast forum. I know I need to get back to writing, but I was wondering if freelance podcaster is a thing. I host a few shows, one podcast and one radio show, and find behind the mic is where I shine. Thanks for inspiring me to do what I do. No problem, Paul. Congratulations. No, yeah, that's a thing. It's a very hard thing. I think in a lot of ways, just independent host in general was what that would fall under, right? I think when you look at somebody like Andrea Renee, who of course has What's Good and is amazing, and I love Andrea, she is a very, very, she's the busiest lady in the business, right? She's an outspoken freelance contractor. She's an independent artist out there. Same thing with like Carboni, right? Even though he was, or is tied down, I guess, I don't know, with the Star Wars show. Like, those are gigs, right? But those are gigs. Like, they're not the career necessarily. I think the career is being a freelance host for them. Is you saw, I think, because Carboni did stuff with the Crunchyroll Awards recently, right? So yes, it is a thing. I think you need to expand the vernacular probably beyond podcast host, because for most people, right? Like, and I think we talked about this last week. I think we talked about is my fence gone? No, my fence is gone. I think we talked about this last time we did a Gregway, right? Where it is, bees are coming for me. I'm not gonna try to capture. That like when IGN people come over, or most people come to visit Kind of Funny and be on a podcast, they're not paid, right? We don't like when Brian Altano pops through for We Have Cool Friends. That's not a payment gig. That's we help each other out. We go guest on each other's stuff to promote your own shit. Whereas somebody who's like Imran, Gary, Fran, like they get paid for their gigs because they're freelance hosts. They're freelance. They're coming in on a regular basis. They're not a guest. They're helping put together the show. They're help planning the show. They're help hosting the show on many occasions. So yeah, freelance podcast host is a thing. It's harder because I don't even know how to wrap my head around that, right? Like if you hit me up and we're like, hey, I guess that's what you'd have to do is just beat the pavement and find people who are like, man, I'm doing this show and I love doing this show, but it's too much work. At which point you could come in and be like, hey, always first off, realize, and I'm sure you know this because you're busy too, but remember how busy everyone is. So when you hit somebody up, never hit them up, be like, hey, just, I'm a podcast host and I was just wondering if you had any gig stuff. You can do that, but in 9 times out of 10, at least with me, that's going to end with me going like, cool, all right, it's good to know when we have job opportunities, you'll hear about them. If you hit somebody up and you're like, hey, I've noticed there's this gap in your content. I've noticed that on this show you said this thing, and I would be down to help you do a 30-second version. You know what I mean? Like, come to them with concrete ideas on how you can make their content and their shows better. I think you have more of a chance of success like that. Again, though, I think it's going to have to be a lot of beating the pavement and getting out there in the same way and doing guest gigs on people's show for free, coming in, hey, I'm just doing the show, talking to everybody, and then go, okay, like that worked really well. I'd like to, down the line talk about it. Or if you liked what I did, I'm open to doing more stuff with you guys on a paid basis. Ryan Santilli, what up, Ryan? What current TV shows have you been interested in? Do you keep up with The Walking Dead show on AMC? I'll start at the end, then go to the front. No, I do not keep up with The Walking Dead. When spoilers for The Walking Dead, when Andrew Lincoln was leaving the show, that was the last time I tuned in to actually watch an episode, and since then I just haven't. Like, even with the comic book, we talked about this in the comic book club, right, where it had been dwindling for a while in terms of like, it wasn't destination viewing anymore. How much for reading, I guess in that case, how much further is this going to go? Same thing for The Walking Dead, right, where I feel like for so long I was so into that was Sunday night, and then it just started drifting, right? And I think that's not me breaking news to you in any stretch of the imagination. I think everybody knows, that it got long in the tooth there. People started leaving. What's the story? Who are these people? I don't care, kind of thing. And so no, I haven't watched regularly The Walking Dead in a long, long time. Wish them well, you know what I mean? Like, it's just went on forever and ever and ever and ever. Right, now we gotta try to catch these guys. I guess I already screwed it up probably. Hold on, we're gonna catch this wasp. Bam, got him. Also, if you are watching this and you're wondering what I'm doing, what I like to do is move in different processes, I guess, for Animal Crossing. So right now what I'm doing is, for the day, I'm going around getting all my lumber. So I knock all my wood on the ground. That way I know what trees I've already hit. Then when I'm done with all the trees, I swoop back, pick up all the lumber, and then I'll work on rocks and so on and stuff like that. And then current TV shows, Ryan asked, that I'm interested in. Oof, man, ongoing episodic stuff? Not really much, man. Like, Goldfrog keeps trying to get me to watch the show on Netflix, which is oh my god, I didn't ask for this. Oh my god, this isn't happening. The thing with the girl from It, where she has superpowers. We started it drunk here. Lucy and Jen did not vibe with it, and I thought it was fine, and I haven't gone back to it. We did watch all the episodes on Netflix of Tiger King. That was fucking awesome. That was, what a ride. I can't recommend that enough. And then Westworld, back on Westworld train. I loved season 1 of Westworld like everybody else. Season 2, I don't remember much of. Season 3, I think it's been 2 episodes in right now. Super strong start. I've really enjoyed that. And then I do like Crisis on Infinite Earth stuff, but it was like, it's always so rare for me to be like, what I want to do is watch TV, because of course what I always want to do is play video games, which is rad and fun or whatever, but obviously it limits the amount of time I do other things like that. Michael Joseph Gilbride says, hi Greg, wondering if you'd be willing to talk about partnering with Patreon, and if you'd view it as a good thing if Kinda Funny Games was in a place where it was no longer necessary. I imagine there are perks that extend beyond the financial side with Patreon, but I'd like to think this community would exist one way or another. Thanks, you guys are truly the best. Of course I'm willing to talk about that. That's what this segment's all about, where you get to talk to me and pick my brain and talk to you. And you can ask, like about TV shows and comic books too. It doesn't always have to be super serial conversation. If Patreon didn't exist, of course Kinda Funny would still exist. We're not going anywhere. That's not what we're up to. Oh shit, am I at tree managers? The thing about it, right, is like, your question's interesting, right? If a partnership with Patreon, if you view it as a good thing, if Kinda Funny was in a place no longer needed necessary, of course that would be a good thing. Of course that's something we're striving for, but I think in one day, and I mean, because we're not even like actively doing it, but I think what's interesting is, and I hope we get it right with our messaging. I know, when we changed things over a while back in terms of changing the tiers to subscriptions, right? Trying to drive home that we were a business, why we took down, the numbers publicly and stuff like that. We feel, years ago now, we moved away from being hey, we're bootstraps, crowdfunding, like we need your support to make this all happen. We do that every January with fundraising, right? But it is that the day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month thing you're getting from our Patreon should be a business model. We think of it as a subscription business model, which means that even if your question, like, moving away from Patreon is an interesting one. There's 2 ways we'll move away from Patreon. Number 1, Patreon goes away, and which would be a huge blow for us, and we would live and survive, right? That's what we always talk about, is that, we planned Kind of Funny to have it'd be a bar stool with a bunch of different legs. So if you swept out the leg of Patreon, there'd still be the ad revenue, there'd still be the merch, there'd still be the gigs I go and do, right? That we would be able to keep going. However, if that happens, so like with the two reasons we move away, number one, Patreon goes away, and then number two, we create our own subscription service, which is also kind of like number one, where I think the reason Patreon's great is that it gave us RT first, IGN first, or no, that's not what they call it. IGN first is the thing McCaffrey does now. Damn, what was the IGN subscription service that we had forever? Insider, IGN Insider. It's a way for you to, hey, I like this content and I want to support it for early access like this, get behind, exclusive shows kind of thing. We would replace that with something similar on kindoffunny.com. So you're really not, I don't look at Patreon as, hey, it's you giving us money out of the kindness of your heart. I hope you do. And obviously in January, we do very much come out not saying, hey, we need money to survive. Hey, it's more of a, hey, maybe you've been, it's well documented on the subreddit, right? That the way Patreon works is that we spike it in January and then throughout the year it drifts down. You know what I mean? And that's understandable because, hey, look at us right now in March. Man, 2020 didn't go the way most of us was expecting. So suddenly you have to move your money around somewhere else. You have to put it somewhere else. Maybe we're not, essential items. We understand that. And so when you get to January, we're like, hey, we're doing all this stuff and we'd really like you to be part of the ride. It's not us saying, hey, we need it to survive or we're going to die. It's us usually popping in and being like, hey, you've had a great year of content. We hope you see what we're doing. We hope you believe in it. We hope, the new, whatever, in this case of 2020 for January, Blessings New Hire, the return of PS I Love You, all these different things we're doing, the new studio. We hope that inspires you to say, oh, you know what? I have drifted on my pledge or whatever. I do want to resubscribe, even if it is just for that month, and give them a lot of money here rather than, $5 a month, which would net out to be more, you know what I mean? Like math like that. So the question, Michael, is interesting and fascinating. For us, even if Patreon went away, there would be something to replace it. We would want another subscription service in there. And you might, I don't know, depending on how long you've been around, you might be like, oh my God, like, is it all about the money? It's like, no, it's about a business model for us. And remember, before there was a Patreon, and I'm talking way back with the Game Over Greggy show, right? Like, we were offering it through Bandcamp, right? If you wanted early access, you could go to Bandcamp, and you could go through a very cumbersome system to buy the tracks early, or buy the podcast early. And so, like, Patreon, when we moved to it, was never so much a lifeboat, let's solve all our, or I guess it did solve all our problems, but it wasn't like a desperation move. It was very much like, oh, this is built for what we dream to getting to. So like we've talked about it before that like, it'd be awesome to one day bring that in-house and have our own subscription service internally. And that way we're not splitting with Patreon or anybody else, right? Your money, all 100% of it is going to us. However, that also moves us in a way I don't know if we ever will or want to go to. And maybe we have to one day, but it's like we always talk about, right? Like, I know it's a dirty word, and I know that a lot of people on the internet wouldn't agree with what I'm about to say. Like, we're not trying to be Rooster Teeth. We're following in their footsteps in a lot of ways because they paved the way for people to go from a spare bedroom to making really great content the world over. But I don't necessarily see us getting to a place where our needs and desires and wants, or I guess our needs, are so big on the subscription platform that we have to have a team of like, all right, cool, this is our kindoffunny.com subscription team. And even if it's just two people, right? Like, that's a lot. That's two people to bring in. Granted, I'm short-sighted, as you all know. Like, Tim and Nick are the ones who actually have a businessy brain. So take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. But our next two hires are not going to be a subscription team. They're not going to be people who are just there to make this subscription service work. Because I think you even see with our .com, right? Like, kindoffunny.com works and it gives you what it needs, but it's gone through a few different iterations where we got super ambitious with it, where we really tried to, all right, we're going to make this something. And it was like, man, nobody cared. Nobody went to it enough. And I'm talking about us to keep it up to date, do the whole thing. So like already you're talking about, even right now, we have a very basic kindoffunny.com that gets it done. But if we wanted to go beyond that, right? If we wanted to max that out and do more with that, that would be bringing people. And right now I think we're still so much like, we talk about it, right? When we talk about it, right? Like you and me, listener, viewer. What's kind of fun? Who are Kind of Funny's next hires? Like, they're fucking games people. They're editing people. They're like that. We're still trying to make more content. We want to make more content, I think, before we want to bring on more support. And that, can change on a day-to-day basis. So please, when it does change, don't throw it in my face. But it is an idea that's how we feel right now. And that's how or at least how I feel. And again, that changes as the day goes by. You know what I mean? But I feel like editors and content creators are more what we need than anything else right now. These are more like my glasses, aren't they? Than the round ones. I kind of like the round ones though. I'll wear them for a little bit and see what's happening. Okay. I got new glasses if you're an audio listener. So I hope that answers it, Michael. Marcus says, if you had a talented team helping you in dreams, what kind of game or games would you make? Don't worry about that, Michael. I'm sorry, Marcus. Don't worry about that, Marcus. I have a talented team helping me right now. The problem is that there are a million games to review, but I have an idea for a game. It's actually more important than ever. Maybe I'll get to it once I clear the next review I'm on that I can't talk about yet. But I have the main asset. Now I have to get into the technical side, and I do have somebody who's offered to help with the technical side. So lots of good things coming from me in dreams eventually. But maybe it'll be like my Superman comic, and you'll never actually hear about it because I'm too busy, and it's too big an idea. Who knows? I'm going to take a sip of water. We got a big question here. Okay, hold on. I'm going to skip this one. Engine 25 wrote in about the Kind of Funny Game showcase and what if E3 gets canceled. This is on March 3rd. This is a fucking different timeline. We're going to get into that question, I think, later on. And if for some reason we don't, I'm going to bold it and come back to it. But we have other people coming with more, hey, now that everything's gone to hell. We'll get there in a second. Brian wrote in and said, Greg, I've been with you since Beyond, but I'm very curious. When did your laugh evolve into the maniacal cackle that it is now? I mean, no disrespect, just curious if you're laughing like that on purpose now. Give me the play-by-play. Well, Brian, that question is kind of offensive. My laugh is real and genuine. I could not tell you when it changed into the cackle it is. And I don't know if you're talking about the wheeze laugh. The wheeze laugh has been with me forever. No, I can't help you. My laugh is what it is, but you listen to me laugh more than I listen to myself laugh, so I trust you, but it is kind of an offensive question. One sneaky badger wrote in and said, hey, Greg, when I was a kid, my friends and I would pretend sword fight around the neighborhood and then play some Perfect Dark on N64. Fuck, I'm old. That's me, not one sneaky badger. What fun games or activities did you do when you were a kid? I don't think I've ever talked about that, or I had that question asked to me. So good question. One sneaky badger. We were big on Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles were hitting pretty big. Obviously, real Ghostbusters too when I was a kid, but that was more of something I think I did. I mean, everybody had that stuff, but it wasn't. I don't think when I was young enough that real Ghostbusters was hitting fucking these goddamn wasps. Again, that's I'm playing Animal Crossing if you're an audio listener. When Real Ghostbusters was hitting, that was more of a thing you were playing at home by yourself. I remember when Ninja Turtles hit, it was the perfect age where we did ride bikes and go play in the woods and stuff. So everybody had the little mask you strapped around your face, and there'd be a Donatello and a Raphael, and we'd all run around and do that. I've talked about it on the podcast before. I had a banana seat bicycle that reminded me and my friends of a motorcycle. And so when T2 came out, we played Terminator 2 a lot on camping trips where we would, go out, we would ride around. One person would play Terminator, person would play Kyle Reese and John Connor, and you try to protect them or whatever. Those were the ones that stand out as something we did a lot of. We did for a long time. We did rollerblade hockey, street hockey like that. I was never good, obviously, just the goalie because I didn't want to move that much, and I wasn't that good at skating. But those were the big things, right, between video games. And yeah, I mean, when you bring up Perfect Dark, I always when I think of the N64, I think of how that defined my freshman year of high school and onward, right? Because I mean, I was with it all through high school, but it was, when I started it in high school, it was WCW NWO Revenge on 64. I remember when we got Smash Brothers and we had a Smash Brothers belt. When we run around and we would play GoldenEye, we would play Perfect Dark, we would play No Mercy. I'd watch Michael Bryan work on Zelda and try to fight Ganondorf and stuff like that. In terms of games to that regard, that's what I think of. But yeah, Ninja Turtles. That's the neighborhood game most kids were playing. Brennan says, I love comics, but I haven't experienced a lot of Superman. My favorite that I've read so far is For All Seasons. I also dug American Alien. If I were to read one other Superman story as someone who prefers a less godly hero, what should it be? There is a Gregway, back when it was just a vlog series on youtube.com/GameOverGreggy, where I go through my comic recommendations, and in there is the one I always recommend and I stand by, Superman Last Son. This is the one where Richard Donner and Jeff Johns teamed up to write this. Richard Donner, of course, did Superman 1 and part of Superman 2, infamously, the Donner cut. And the story here is that a Kryptonian boy lands in the middle of Metropolis. It's what I based my video game pitch on, if you ever heard, over on the Gamescast for Superman. Kryptonian boy lands in the middle of Metropolis. Superman finds him. He's very torn over what to do. The government is the government about it. Eventually, he and Lois decide to try to take this boy in and raise him, and then it's the craziness that happens from there on out, and who the parents of this boy are, and what that brings about, and all these things. Like, it's a self-contained story. If you pick it up last Sun, sadly there was this book they wanted to do in 3D, which sucks. So like, yeah, there's like glasses if you want to read it in 3D with the red and blue and shit like that. But outside of that, I think it's just a fantastic story that I really, really dug. The ending's kind of wham, bam, bam, and it's over, but it sounds like if you're just looking to try some Superman stuff, I would do that for sure. And I know it's hard, but like right now, the Bendis stuff of Superman giving up his secret identity is pretty great too. But that's way harder for me to explain right now in a nutshell and keep you engaged with. Alexander's back and says, "Hey Greg, what's in your pocket? Which pockets do you use more, pants pockets or sweater/coat pockets?" Definitely use pants pockets more. However, working from home, when we started working from home for the whole COVID thing, I was very much like, you know what? I'm going to wear my jeans every day. Going to do everything as normal every day. And then that fell apart pretty quick because it turns out that I express most of my heat. I cool off, I guess, through my legs. And so when they can't breathe through my legs, I get big old, even worse than usual, sweat stains under my arms. So right now I'm just wearing Mizzou basketball shorts, nothing in the pockets. However, I would, like I said, wear pants pockets are definitely the pockets for me. Once in a while when I walk Porty, I'll throw on a sweatshirt and put stuff in there, but I'm usually in shorts, and that's why I need to do it. Otherwise, if I'm going anywhere, I'm going to be using pants pockets rather than jacket pockets. Because the jackets I don't really wear. I just wear sweatshirts mostly. And you know that the stuff will fall out of it. You lose your keys. Suddenly, everybody's breaking into your house. Here we go. Jordan says, "Greg, what are the Kind of Funny Games Showcase plans for this year, and what goes into decision of of when/how many to do each year? As a game dev and a longtime best friend, having a game in that showcase at some point in my career is something that would be meaningful to me." You wrote this on the 9th. And let me just look ahead here. So I think, because I thought we had one more. I'm going to bold that too. I'm going to come back to it. Don't answer it now. If I can just find the other one, if there was. Because I feel like there's been a lot of showcase questions here. But of course, I can't find it. So we'll look into it later. If we run into them, we run into them. Plans for showcase are TBD. Obviously, with E3 being canceled, it was like, oh shit, do we need to? And then it was also, my main thing is I wanted to see what other publishers and developers were going to plan. And you've already seen just about every one of the major publishers throw it up of like, oh, we're going to do something. So you're like, okay, they're covered. And then with the launch of 2 new consoles this year, knock on wood, and their reveal events, I imagine a lot of indies are going to be covered there too. And so Tim and I talked about it, and then we kind of said, oh, holy shit, hold on, let's bring the entire business to a work-from-home strategy, which changed everything drastically and kind of set the whole house on fire. So we haven't had time to double back and have that conversation. I've gotten a lot of emails about it, which makes me think, okay, there is a need from developers who need it. The thing about it, though, is that our space? Do we want to do that? How committed are we? Like, what is the showcase? I feel if we do another showcase and it is just another indie showcase, which is deserved, don't get me wrong, and needed, that's what it is the rest of the time. You know what I mean? When we did the December showcase in place of PlayStation, we were lucky enough to have Sega, Telltale. I can't believe I just missed that butterfly. I made a fool out of myself. Sega, Telltale, we had or I guess not Telltale, Skybound. We had a look that was like, hey, look at what we're trying to do. We're trying to do something bigger here. And so if we want to go down to just being indies, it's this question of, okay, cool, what's the return on investment for people who submit their games on that for us? You know what I mean? It is, and I'm not even trying to be business with you. I'm always just going to talk to you straight. Like, that is a show that loses us money, right? Like, we have to hire an editor. I think Raj did both of them, right? Roger Pokorny, and get them involved. Is it a lost leader to because obviously we don't need to make money on everything, but do the benefits outweigh the cons of it? And I guess that's the question we're wrestling with right now, especially as, again, we're so busy right now and there's so much going on top of now maybe you don't get to leave your house. You know what I mean? How long are you to stay in your house kind of thing? Like, we are actively looking and thinking, and I'm actively going with it. We just don't want to repeat ourselves. We don't want it to be that I honestly, with all due respect to the E3 showcase, it was too much like the December showcase. You know what I mean? Like, we had funny bits in there and it was cool, but it wasn't like, I don't think we made the case at that point of like, this is something that needs to happen every year. I think it helped out indies a lot, which I'm all about. I obviously want to keep helping out indies. I just don't know if there's an even better way to do that. You know what I mean? Like, maybe, I don't know. I think I need to figure out, I need to spend some real time of what I want that showcase to look like. That's the biggest thing. I think I don't want it to be, I think, very much December showcase versus the E3 showcase of 2019/2018, 2018/2019, was a Kind of Funny Live 2, Kind of Funny Live 3 situation where we fucking nailed it. Let's do it again. And we did it again. And that's great. We fucking nailed it. But it didn't have the same impact, I felt. You know what I mean? And so how do you get around that? How do you wrestle with it? And then again, like I said, is it something that needs to happen? You know, there was an interesting tweet when all this was happening and everybody's like, E3's canceled. What about the indies? Stephanie Tinsley, who does PR with a whole bunch of indies, she tweeted, why is everybody saying, what about the indies? E3's never given a shit about the indies. And it was that thing of like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, we helped give a voice and a platform to indies last year, and that was great, and it's awesome. But, like, is that the right place for them? Does that serve it? Would that serve it better if we did a Kind of Funny Game Showcase Gamescast where we had, you know, we went through a bunch, and here are the 10 best indies we've seen. I got to wrap my head around making it something that would stand out from the pack, and I haven't done that yet. So that's the honest answer of where we're at. I want to make sure it has the right value and doesn't burn out a team that is already not on the ropes, but struggling with a lot of shit right now. Anakin JMT, frequent contributor to Kind of Funny Games Daily, writes in with a long one. So let me put some... Oh, no, that didn't work at all. I'm just going to try to read it, but I might get distracted and lost in it. As the only person that I'm aware of at Kind of Funny that has been divorced, that's me, Greg Miller, correct, I could use some advice. Today, the day that I write this, my divorce to my ex-husband has been my ex has been finalized. Circumstances are different. We have a son together, while you don't have any that you know of. Winky. Ha. But it's still an unfortunate thing. My question is this. How do you know when you are ready to start dating again? You've been able to have long, meaningful relationships with both Steimer and Jen, but when did you know you were ready to get back out there? Because my ex cheated on me with a truly horrible person, I find it difficult to imagine getting back out there. Kind of Funny is one of those things that help me get through these difficult times. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you to every single one of you. Well, Anakin, I'm sorry you had to go through that, and I'm, terribly, terribly sorry that happened to you. But we're happy to be there for you, of course. The thing about this is, like, when did you know you're ready to start dating again? I think that's a different question or a different answer for every person. I think with my divorce, right, like, that was a weird one because I think we knew we were growing apart. I think that by the time we vocalized it, we weren't like over each other kind of thing, but it was like, okay. And then, once she moved out and because we lived together after we broke up, which sucked. I know you have to do it sometimes. But once that happened, it was, honestly, it wasn't a quest. I wasn't asking these kind of questions, right? You know what I mean? I think on both the back of my breakup with my ex-wife and then breaking up with Steimer after, 2 really long-term relationships, neither of those were at the forefront of my mind, right? I think you have to clear it out and you have to focus on yourself and you have to make sure you're happy and you're doing healthy things and you're taking care of yourself and now you're taking care of your son, right? Yeah, your son. And I'm not saying it's the same thing at all, right? But it was that, having Portillo, something that I knew, my responsibility, right, helped me. Yeah, there's no easy answer for that. I think you'll feel it, you'll know it'll come down to the right person. You'll meet somebody and that'll be there for you, right? Like, I don't think so much as like, and granted, I've never done like the whole online dating or app dating or anything like that. So, I mean, like, that changes things, I guess, but I think it would be, you're gonna have to sit there and heal on your own. But it's also gonna be on your own timetable. So you can't listen to anybody's advice about when that is, whether it seems like that's too long, that's too short, or anything of that matter. You can only take care of yourself and do it that way. What's up? You need the coffee?
I have opinions.
Tell me your opinions. Come here. This is Jen, everybody. You might have known her.
This
isn't
audio?
live. Yeah.
Okay.
No. You're in the little frame.
Oh, great. Hi.
You're talking to Anakin.
Okay, great. So I overheard, obviously. I'm
talk that
getting
way.
closer.
No, you don't have to be closer. Just talk towards it.
Oh, okay. I personally did not believe I would ever get into another relationship after my 8-year-long relationship ended, and I started doing online dating, and I had never dated in my adult life until I was like 24. And so I became pretty okay with the idea of being single because I was super jaded. And then I thought I would definitely die alone and I would have this cool dog in my own life. And then I met Greg. And even though I never wanted to be married as a person, there was no doubt in my mind when I met him. And it sounds super cliche and super gross. But also you're an adult, you're older now, like you have a kid, right?
Yep.
So you know yourself more than ever. And so when it clicks with someone, it's never crazy. It's just, you know who you are, they know who they are, and if it clicks mutually, then that's it. Then there's no questions around it. And so that's my...
After the 8-year thing, when did you know it was time to get back out there? That's the question. That's where we started with the question. Because that's where he's at. Or Anakin's at. I shouldn't
It took me a while. It took me, I would say, before I installed Tinder on my phone, it must have taken me 2 years.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So did you feel that pull of like, I mean, like, I guess that's the thing is like, you know, when did you know you wanted to date? Because especially since it wasn't like a specific person.
It's weird because I was horrified by the idea of online dating. I had never done it before, and it sounded super gross. It's more curiosity that brought me on there. And then the way it's built, I mean, it's different for dudes than women, I guess. Like, we're more sought after.
You're in demand.
Yeah, we're in demand. But it's kind of great because you're in control of everything. So it allowed me to sort of explore what was available to me. And I slowly, you get into the groove of it, and you're like, okay, I know what I'm looking for now. And then you just have fun with it. And then you, obviously in a responsible way, and you never play with other people's emotions, but
make your intentions clear.
Yeah, exactly. Set expectations, make your intentions clear. Don't be weird about it, obviously. But a lot of people are out there just because they're bored and they want to kill time and stuff. And other people are actually really looking for love. But Greg happened to me completely outside of that. So, but it was really informative because I had no idea who I was until I started dating out there and meeting different people and sharing different life experiences. And yeah, it's still worth it. I think everybody should try it, even though it sounds gross.
Online dating?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because you're literally, there's no barrier, and you're literally out there. Like, and that's how people do it nowadays. So you no longer approach people at bars.
Nowadays they just sit at their house. They can't go out.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's it.
Cool. How do we feel about these glasses? I got new glasses here. Are they more like it, or do you like the...
I like the other ones better.
Okay. I feel the same too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Janvier Saint-Onge Miller, everybody. Here we go. Now, Phil has a question from March 10th, which was 14 days ago, and I do think is another one that's dated, but I'll put it in here. The Party Mode Squad is quite excited for the new studio launch party, but as I sit here watching the new Gregway on the 9th, the realization that COVID-19 is kind of scary. I read it right, but he's realizing COVID's scary. Are you considering pushing the event out until next year or another time to keep the team and your supporters safe? Parentheses, disregard if future changes by end of month. Well, Phil, things have changed since you wrote in. Like everybody else, I would say that we were already working on a whole bunch of stuff for the studio and everything else. Everything's in, not free fall, that sounds worse, but everything's in tentative wait and see mode for everything. I think, you know what I mean? Like, clearly, like, the construction of the studio has been set back by the fact that people can't go out of their houses, right? Like, that means that, of course, then, just on that small scale, the studio launch party is in limbo, let alone the fact now of how long are we everything gonna be fucked up and on shelter in place, and what does that do to construction, and what does that do to that? And even once we're out of shelter in place, hooray, but what are gonna be travel restrictions? What will that look like? There's a million questions. So we are so far from having said we're pushing it to next year, but I think we're all living, again, now that there's a time warp, we're all living here in the same timeline, right, as you watch this. So I would see everything is on a hold until we figure anything out. And again, when we know something, you'll know something, but the fact that the world doesn't know what the fuck they're doing right now, a bunch of fucking morons, like, kind of funny, we're not going to have it figured out either. So we will let you know when we know, but it's going to be after the world knows about the fucking virus and everything else. But again, like I said, this is probably a day question. Izzy D Gamer says, I give up on my old question, how are you feeling? Love the content, but don't normally write in too often. Parentheses, hoping that'll change since been following of E3 2013, I believe. I give up on my old question. Oh, you were asking me another question? I don't know, Izzy. How am I feeling? I'm feeling great. You know what I mean? It's weird working from home. I miss the team. I think I'm so incredibly proud of everybody right now, and the fact that, the timeline for us, hold on, I'll bring up the calendar because it's easier to say that than time warp shit like I've been saying. You figure on the 12th, Thursday the 12th, we had a meeting where we were like, listen, we're worried about what's going on. You're worried about what's going on. You're our number one priority. Everybody here, we want to take care of you. We want to, make entertaining content for everybody, but we want to keep you safe doing so. So we should start thinking about working from home. And we had that meeting, and everybody's like, yeah, okay, cool. Good to know that's what's happening, blah, blah. And then Tim called me that night and was like, hey, I've been thinking too, like as soon as we sat there and talked it out of like, well, we have limited exposure because we only see each other, and so this Barrett, you ride the thing, but maybe you could do this, and Greg, I'll start doing it. And it was just that thing of like, we came in on Friday, called into the meeting, we're like, all right, things have already changed, we're working from home next week. And you figure, I remember in the Thursday meeting, Kevin being like, when we were talking about this, Kevin being like, well, this is hypothetical, right? And we're like, well, it's probable, we just don't know when. And so then the next day to come in and be like, all right, cool, that thing we said we were going to do, we're going to do, which means everybody figure your shit out, plan this thing. What do you have at home? What don't you have at home? Kevin, order this. Kevin, figure all this out. Kevin, take the computer home to your house to play. And it's just like, it's ridiculous that not only did all that happen that quickly, that we were able to pull everything together and have it not miss a beat. You figure Monday and then Tuesday morning were the only thing that were just audio only. We figured out Discord and solutions to that immediately following it. And it's just like, man, like that's what I'm talking about when you talk about a team, right? Like I wouldn't even know what to do without these people, and they're fucking crushing it. And the content continues to be great. Everybody continues to be on point. I think we're doing a lot of really cool shit in a really weird time, and that's awesome. And I know I've seen so many messages from all of you. Thank you so much writing in to say it helps you get through stuff. It's a sense of normalcy. Like that's rad. We're there for you, and making the content obviously feels normal for us. So we're happy to do it, and I'm good. You know what I mean? Like it's alarming. You have those moments, you read the paper, you read what's going on in the internet or whatever, and you're just like, fuck, man, what's going on? And nobody knows, but we'll figure it out. Let me get another sip here.
I'm making you a salad. Do you want me to leave it in the fridge?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Damien, aka Trask, writes in and says, hi, Greg. Absolutely loving the Bless Ups and Gregways. Awesome personal conversations, and I much appreciate them. My question is around the number of views/listens shows are getting. From the last Gregway, you've made it pretty clear that Kinda Funny is in a good place, so I'm not too concerned there. But on the same hand, numerous Kinda Funny staff members have made comments about the lack of views. From a nobody's perspective, if shows aren't getting views/listens, they're not doing well. If they're not doing well, Kinda Funny isn't doing well. What do these comments/remarks from the staff really mean? Is there a growing existing set of problems that everyone is looking to fix, or is this more around growth and future opportunities? Love everything you do, and thanks for the hard work, Damien. I think Damien, the comments in the perspective from everybody you come talk to or think about is coming from a different place. I think for me, and I can only talk obviously straight for myself and on behalf of the company. Again, yeah, Kinda Funny's doing great. Don't worry about views and downloads and all that jazz. Do go watch and listen more and share it to your friends. Please retweet everything we do. But in terms of like a comment, and I'm just going to say Andy, because I know Andy makes a lot of comments like that. I think what you have there is two things. Number one, self-deprecating. We are aware we're not the biggest thing in the world. We're aware our shows don't do millions of views. Obviously, everybody would like it to do that. But beyond that, and what I think is more true to the conversation is how long you've been doing this, if that makes sense. Where I think I am... I want to say I'm fine with who we are. I'm fine with what Kinda Funny is. I like us. I like our audience. I like that we have a business that works. I like that we're able to take care of people. I like that we're able to grow, so on and so forth, right? I would love to grow that number correctly. I don't want just, oh, hey, 500,000 people just showed up, and guess what? 300,000 of them are fucking assholes. Like, no, I don't want that in any shape or form. I want it to be the right people, and that's what we do day in, day out. Every the amount of times somebody will put something on the Reddit, and somebody will be like, hey, I'm a new fan, and I don't get this joke, or I haven't seen this, or I don't know what that is. Like, that's heartwarming. That's, fucking, we're doing it right if that's happening, where we're getting people who don't understand a reference from the spare bedroom coming in and not understanding, or not, you know what I'm saying there. But I think it does come down to, when you make something, you want it to be viewed by as many people as possible. And I think Andy and Nick, right, with KFAF, right? That's a fucking really funny show, I think. And they do really awesome bits in the middle of it. And I mean, the show overall, but I'm talking about, like, their pre-canned, we went out and ate a bunch of nuggets. They drove around and edited something. They made something. When you put that much work into something, and I think another great example, right, would be the showcase. When you do something like that, where you pour your heart and soul into it, and you see it, limp to the same amount of views, you see it barely get to, not even the same amount of views, barely get to an even impressive number where you're hoping that everything's going to be, 100,000. You hope that it's going to be, this, but to struggle to get to those numbers, it's not demoralizing, but it is disappointing, right? Because those are the things where you make something cool. Andy and Nick make a really great video. We make a showcase. We do Halloween Hellscape. We're this. I understand why the 2.5 hour podcast where I'm fucking laughing at Burt Meg's name isn't ratcheting up the views or whatever. But when you go out and you try and you do something, you hope that that's the one that'll move the needle in a different way. And so what you get into is self-deprecating humor about it, where I think it's everybody wrestling with the same thing and coming to terms with who we are and what we are. And don't get me wrong, I definitely think there's still chances we could get bigger, but I don't think it's going to be the explosive overnight growth. I don't think, it's going to be something crazy. And we also don't need it. And that's the other thing is that I think when I was at IGN, right, and I was super young, it was about page views. It was about crushing. It was about having the best metrics in the office or whatever. And I think that that's awesome and we need that. And I think there's still that we still have that, right? I still get excited when, I don't know if, this is super inside baseball. If you use the YouTube Studio app, they updated it recently now. So when you go inside, not only do you see the most current numbers on your video, they immediately show you comparisons to your averages. So I'll open it up and it'll be I can actually show you guys. It'll open it up and it'll be oh, hey, this one's doing, better than the average. This one's doing less than the average. What's going on here? So yeah, here you go. Well, you don't have, they don't have it for comparison here, but looking at the first. This is outdated. I could refresh it, but you understand what I'm saying. Hold on, let me make sure I'm not showing you any classified information. You got to be careful because, I share too much, Jen. That's what I do. See, so if you look at that right there, right, that's P.S. I love you, right? And so it's talking about right now it's the views aren't typical. It says right now you've done 3K and usually do 4.3K. Or you do between 4.3 and 6.6K. And that's for 1 hour and 24 minutes. That's not updated. So you figure... You got see right now. If I hold on, let me refresh it, but also not show you anything that I shouldn't show you. That looks good. I think. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Yeah. So that, looking good. Hold on. That's a more updated thing. Looking good. Your video's performing as usual, right? And it says, so for the first 5 hours and 60 minutes, we have 10,000 views, when typically we're between 8.9 and 12.4. The average view duration right now is 27:53, which is way higher than usual. Usually it's between 16 and 17 minutes. And watch time is ridiculous. It's above average on that too. So those are their metrics, and that's great. And honestly, that's the stuff I get swept up in, is seeing if I can beat week in, week out, or day in, day out, depending if it's Games Daily. Make a show that is more endearing than the last, or succeeding better than the last. But I think when we started it, right, there was the idea of fuck, we want to be. We're getting online there, are we, Jen? Oh, look at that. Yeah, you started up and you want it to be this huge thing, and you want it to be it. And I think it's. Part of just, I think, the same shtick of if you didn't know, I don't suck. But I think that that's a joke everybody wants to run with, in the same way I think people want to run with the 48K Club. It's kind of embracing who we are in a certain way, but everybody embraces it a different way, if that makes sense. But everything's fine. Don't worry. It's never meant. I don't think if there was serious trouble afoot, we wouldn't break it to you in a weird joke. Well, Kevin might, but not us. Michael, a.k.a. Eat My Balls, writes in and says, "Sup, Greggy. I'm sure you get a lot of questions about what your favorite wings are, but I have something to ask you, sir. Are you a blue cheese or ranch guy? And what restaurant's your favorite dip? I love Pluckers and Wingstop's ranch. I would bathe in them. So what's yours, friend of Shirtless Spider-Man? Thanks, Michael, and hashtag Greg sucks. I don't suck. I'm a ranch guy for sure. And then, yeah, for the ranch that I like the best or whatever, it would be the Wings Ranch. They make it from scratch every day or whatever, and it's fantastic. I like that one quite a bit. Haven't had it in a while because, we're sheltered in place or whatever. But also just because Wing switched owners, so we don't go there as much anymore. Not because we don't like them, but just because, it's kind of hard going back to this place that used to be like family, and now it's just like a wing restaurant. And I don't want to go to just a wing restaurant. Now I'm gonna break my rules here, by the way, guys, and I'm gonna harvest this rock if you're watching. If you're an audio listener, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But I've been going and doing all my trees. Now there's one rock up here because I planted all these trees. They're too young to get any wood off them. All right, cool. Oh God, I should have timed this out better so Jen wasn't in the room. Jacob Meyer writes in to patreon.com/kindoffunny just like you can. It says, Jen and Porty have been making TikTok gold, as I'm sure you know. My question is, when do they get their own Kind of Funny show? What level on the thermometer will we have to hit next January? I say you just go follow Jen on TikTok, and you'll probably keep getting that content. You can also get it from her Instagram. She always has cute porty photos up. I'm trying to keep up now that I'm here around him, and he looks dead all the time. But yeah, I don't think we'll be giving them a TikTok show anytime soon. But who knows? You know, and make your voices heard loud and proud there as we get close to January 2021 and whatever the hell we're gonna do for that day. Brandon writes in, and this is where I think we turn the corner. Everybody starts talking about the quarantine. As I say that, like ahead, I don't know if that second one actually has anything to do with it. Anyways, I digress. Brandon said, "Hey Greg, quarantine has been hitting us all hard. It has definitely been taking a toll on me mentally, but I've been praying through it. How have you and the fam been doing? Is there anything that we can do to help?" We kind of talked about this earlier. We've been doing well. I think, you know, we talked about this on the Kind of Funny podcast for sure, but even deeper into it now, right? A week later, because we're going to do the next podcast here in the afternoon. You know, here at the house, it's been interesting because it's me, it's Jen, it's Lucy from GameSpot. But during the day, we honestly don't see that much of each other except for lunch breaks and coffee breaks. Because I'm in the living room, Jen's in the bedroom, and Lucy's in her bedroom. And so everybody has their own office with the door closed. And then everybody just, you know, congregates when we have to. But outside of that, you know, it's kind of this weird, not normal by any stretch of the imagination, but similar to normal workday where you work all day and then all of a sudden everybody's done at the same time. We meet up in the living room or have dinner or watch a show or play Animal Crossing. So it's been good. You know, last week was really hellish because it was, what the fuck are we doing? How are we going to do this? Kevin, can you do it? Kevin can do it. Okay, we're doing these things. We're troubleshooting these problems. We're doing all this stuff. And then on top of it, it was, all right, I'm working from home. Here's the set of, complications that brings about. And then on top of that, it was, cool, I'm trying to review Half-Life Alyx, and I was having tech problems in the beginning, and I only had so many hours free in the week. So I was, like, panicking about if I was going to get that done. I was trying to plan reviews. I was trying to answer emails. Like, that sucked. So far this week, and I'm recording this on Tuesday, the 24th. So far today, this week, it's been way better. There is actual, scheduled breaks in the day. There is, I'm waiting on a game for review, but I don't think that's going to be nearly as intense as Alyx because I won't have the technical hiccups, knock on wood. And so, Saturday was the first day when I think Jen and I went out to the store or whatever and actually had a moment of like, all right, cool, we don't have to worry about work, so we can just worry about what's going on, where it kind of really sunk in of just like, holy fuck, what the hell's going on? Like, this is crazy that this has happened, and like, how long is it really going to go for, and what do we do now? It's just been nuts. And talking to my dad and my mom this weekend, who are out in Chicago, obviously, catching up with what their world's like and what the day's like there. And then obviously every day you wake up, there's something else horrible in the news. It's been nuts. I'd say we're good. I think, again, we're incredibly lucky that for Kind of Funny that, what we do is something that does translate so well to working from home. The show quality isn't where we want it to be in terms of the technical side, but I think the criticism side and the content we're bringing to the table is still great. I think you guys still seem to be reacting well to it. Everybody gets a pass right now, right? Whether you're us, a restaurant, or whatever, if things aren't up to your usual standards because you're dealing with something crazy. But it's been good. I miss the team. Kevin and I were talking about getting me a real desk in here, so we're going to have to work on that, which I'm disappointed in because this is now going to turn the living room into a real office as well. But I digress. Way more problems in the world than that. It's been good for us. We're holding up well. All right, we got a long one here. Hold on, let me look at this. What is going on here? Oh, okay. It's one of those where I pre-read the questions, and this one's so long, I was like, wait, what is this one about? Clay Stone writes in to patreon.com/kindoffunny, just like you can. It says, hey, Greg, long-time listener, first-time Gregway question submitter. My apologies in advance for the long message. I've really been enjoying the new shows and changes you guys have made to the lineup in 2020. First impressions, trailer reactions, Kind of Funny plays, new post shows, and single game dedicated Gamescast reviews have all been fantastic, and I can't possibly say enough good things about PS I Love You. Shout out to Blessing. You two keep killing it without fail every single week. That's what we're here for. In fact, the only element that I miss from pre-2020 Kind of Funny is the time that you guys used to dedicate during Gamescast to simply talking about what you guys have been playing for fun. Sure, some of that comes up on PS I Love You XOXO, sometimes on KFGD, and occasionally on the Kind of Funny podcast of all places, but I really miss hearing the whole team's thoughts on what games they've been spending time on. Parentheses, I even miss hearing Fran and Andrea talk about what's new in Destiny 2 of all things. I guess I just miss hearing the wide breadth of experiences from others on the team, even when only touched on in short snippets. The the extended crew used to bring to the table each week. Is there any chance that whoever is manning the Gamescast table, or for now the at-home webcams, could take a few minutes to just quick round out what everybody's been playing, even for just 5 or 10 minutes? Or is there another weekly show that this would be better fit for? No matter what, and most of all, my sincere thanks to you and the whole Kind of Funny crew for continuing to bring your best each week. As a daily viewer of KFGD, getting to tune into the extended show on YouTube every day continues to provide a sense of normalcy and comfort to my daily life in these uncertain times. Please keep crushing it. Sincerely, Clay Stone. You wrote something underneath your... Oh, no, that's just Excel being weird. Yeah, this is the problem, Clay, is like you love that, but so many people hated that. And so like, you know, we move it around trying to figure out what the best way to do it is. I think, and I know, again, this is a time warp, right? Because you wrote this, I think, before, maybe, hold on, Clay Stone's question came in when? The 23rd. Okay, maybe not then. If you listen to not PS I Love You 12, but PS I Love You 11, we had Barrett actually write in with what he's been playing. I think that's a good solution. I think, you know, having it come up in Games Daily will be the solution in a lot of ways. We're trying to build around, right, that obviously for me, the guy at the office who, well, that's arguable, I guess, nowadays, but one of the people at the office who plays the most games, having me on PS I Love You works because what I've been playing is usually applicable there, right? Like this last PS I Love You is a good example of it, where I spent so much time with Alex, right, that I didn't have that much to talk about in terms of new stuff on PS I Love You, but I did have some stuff, and then I talked a little bit about Alex and what that would mean to PlayStation. I think it's such an outlier for usually me, and for that matter, I guess Bless and stuff too, of playing something that's not on PlayStation, that there's the catch, we catch it there, and then when it is something outlier, like Animal Crossing, Doom, Half-Life, they get their own things, and that's the easier way to do it. I do think, to your point, like it is hard to get all those voices in there, but that is the thing that people didn't like about the Gamescast. And not everybody, obviously. There's a million different ways to slice it. If I wanted to prove myself right on any of my arguments of what I think a show should be, I'd be able to find a comment to justify that. But it did seem for Gamescast that the rambling, what have you been playing, talking about Destiny another week did get on people's nerves. I think the way Tim, you know, really redesigned how we're doing it, there's ways around that, where PS I Love You, the review's great, and then the streams can really be, hey, I am playing this game, let's get together and shoot the shit. You know what I mean? Like, I think, you know, when me and Fran got together and did the Division before I went to Canada, and we were playing through that, there was, you know, we just talked about pizza and shit for so long that people loved that. And there's all these different ways to put the content in the buckets. I'd like to think we're doing a pretty good job of it, but if you have ideas for how to improve it, let me know. Kiso writes into patreon.com/kindoffunny and says, is there a certain age demographic that Kind of Funny markets to intentionally, or do you find yourselves growing with your audience? Thank you for providing wonderful content through these challenging times. Hey, Kiso, no. You know, we've always skewed older. I bet we always will skew older. And when I say that, I mean older than what we were skewing for at IGN. Like, you know, we don't have, for the most part, 11 or 12-year-olds coming in and watching us, right? Like, it is more people, I think, who are in there. I think if you looked at the YouTube numbers and the demographics there, it's, you know, the usual 18 to 35 thing, but I would say we actually skew higher than that. I would think you're looking at people who are usually in their 20s going into, and then mirroring us of being into their 40s now. I think that's what we are. And so growing with the audience is what it's always been. I think what it always will be. You know what I mean? I think if and when Jen and I ever get around to having kids, like, that'll be podcast content that I bet our audience wants because they're having kids, or they've already had kids and they want to see how we deal with it, and so on and so forth that way. I see that. It's always for me, what I think the funniest fucking thing that I see as a comment on YouTube or on the subreddit, right? That is, oh man, like they're putting their faces in thumbnails. They're clearly trying to apply, they're clearly trying to appeal to a younger audience. I'm like, first off, I don't think the younger audience is like hooked by fat guys with beards and faces. I don't think that's not what they're clicking through looking for. We're just trying to give you an idea of who's on the show and what our base reaction was to get you to click on it. And like, be like, ah, man, these thumbnails are just clickbait. I'm like, these thumbnails took time. Like, we tried on these. Remember when we didn't try and we just took 640 by 580 images, stretched them, and shittily put them into a template? We're like, good enough, publish it. Like, it's we're not at all at any point being like, you know what, we need to get the young kids. Let's go get all them young. How do we appeal to the millennials? Like, I assure you, Nick talking about annoying his wife is not like, this is what we saw on TikTok. Kids love this. If we were trying to get them, we definitely wouldn't be making 2.5 hour long podcasts. But I digress. The nanobiologist writes in, says, hi Greg. Hi Nano, how you doing? What is the biggest success in one person you want to shout out during the crisis that really stood strong and helped Kinda Funny prepare for the current setup? Do you hope to get more guest hosts on the show now, like Kinda Funny Games Daily, in review, screencast, etc., that you couldn't get on before? Is there a new shift to get smaller creators on Spotlight, onto Spotlight their work during the crisis? A lot of questions there, Nano. You're cheating, but I love you and I'll allow it. I'm just kidding. There's no rules here. I mean, first and foremost, the big success is that everything works. The person that needs to get shouted out the most is Kevin. I mean, Kevin is making all this happen. Kevin, for a while there was barely sleeping. Kevin has he has a wife and his own life to worry about, but he was obviously making sure all this shit happened, got it done, and continues to get it done. And, at some point, I'm sure he's going to run a desk over to my house and do all this stuff. Like, as always, Kevin is the glue that is holding Kinda Funny together and making any of this happen. We are forever in his debt, and he's amazing. Do I hope to get more guest hosts? No, this has been the weirdest thing. And not weird, I guess, because you're working from home. I can Skype in from anywhere. I've had so many people hit me up to the point that I just can't answer the emails. I've just been archiving them about, like, they've taken this moment as, they see it as we're Skyping people in, so they should shoot their shot now. And so many people have written in about co-hosting Games Daily or whatever. And it's actually the exact opposite, where I need co-hosts for Games Daily when everything's happening and we're all running around and we're all, we're traveling the world, we're doing these things, we're doing whatever. And so now that we're not doing that, I really need to go the opposite way, right? Like, Imran needs money. He needs to host things. I want to make sure if there's an opportunity, I want to get him on it, right? And so, like, that, obviously you've already seen that happen. Like, Andrea's coming through next week. Ben Hansen from MinMax is on this week. Ben was supposed to be here for GDC. We're making up on that. Andrea, we've been back and forth with a million times trying to get on shows since she left. This is just the easiest way to do it. I feel like for Games Daily and core content, that's locked down, where it's like, no, we want to use the people we have because we want to take care of them. We want to make sure we're doing it. I mean, just in fact, I haven't spoken to Barrett in like a week, right? Like, that's ridiculous. I need to fucking do that. So it's more about making all that work. And then, as an interesting question you bring up, right? Is there a new shift to get smaller creators in the spotlight for their work during this crisis? No, I'd say it's the opposite, where we're Skyping people in for We Have Cool Friends. The hope is that if everybody's doing shelter in place, we'll be able to get the people that, I don't want to name names, but like are legit like internet friends who are just too busy to ever come to San Francisco. If you're sheltered, hopefully we can get you on this and we can do this. Let alone the fact that, it's a shift to that, because I think right now, and I'm not worried, this is not a cry for help or anything like that, our numbers are down, right? And that there's a million reasons for that, right? Like, Half-Life Alyx appeals to a small group of people, so that review won't do as well, let alone a Games Daily doing a review roundup of it. Nobody gives a shit, right? That's not what they want to hear about from us. But it's also that thing of, like, We Have Cool Friends is a show that, lives or dies based on who's on it to begin with, right? Khalif was supposed to be through for GDC, so I wanted to get him on. Steven can't leave his house, so I want to get him on. Alana, we're always trying to do more stuff with. I want to get her on. It's this idea of, like, who have we always wanted? Who have we always tried? What have been the barriers? Let's bring them on here. And in a perfect world, I'd love to bring on the bigger names that we don't get to work with and never would, right? Obviously, like The Rock, but that won't happen. But also to bolster numbers and actually spike that, because that is something out of the ordinary. But it's a whole ball of wax we're trying to figure out right now. Stephen McIntyre writes in and says, Kinda Funny has had so many different intros to the shows over the years, from the 3-tone GOG intro to the unified one now. Do you have a favorite? Is there a reason for the switch over to the different variations on all the shows? Love what you guys do. Love what you guys are doing, and stay safe, Stephen. I do love the current one. The which is my bastardized version that Andy made, is my town noise in Animal Crossing. The reason we switched over to do that is because we have so many different products at Kinda Funny that we wanted them to be unified. Like you say, why is there a reason for this different variations? We wanted that to be not Pavlovian, right? But we wanted you to hear it and be like, oh, this is a Kinda Funny show. And hopefully you don't even think about it that way, right? Some people probably are just like, oh shit, those are all the same do-do-do-dos. Like, it's that idea of, like, even if the show is Screencast, even if it is We Have Cool Friends, even if it is Games Daily, even if it is Gamescast, you hear that and you understand what the DNA of the show is and what we're doing with it. And so I love that a lot. Obviously, the old Game Over Greggy show, Panda Musk intro with the bagpipes, that was awesome and incredible and stuff. And like, obviously, there's still theme songs to shows, but I do like the doodle-doo-doodle-doo. Eric Myers writes in to patreon.com/kindoffunny and says, Greg, what's something positive that's come from being sheltered in place for you? My wife and I have been through the ringer quite a bit lately. Between our dog almost needing surgery and then getting into a pretty scary car accident the next day, it's been a lot to deal with. Even though the circumstances are crazy and scary, not being able to go anywhere has been a much-needed break from reality that has really helped me to slow down and process everything. Thanks for being a source of normalcy during this. It means a lot to every one of us. No problem, Eric. Yeah, not even because she's in the room. The best part is being around Jen so much. Hi, Jen. Obviously, I love her. I imported her. A lot of import taxes on that, too. Just being around her and, it's a weird thing of like you said, we're not together all day long, but like even yesterday, I had 20 minutes before P.S. I love you or whatever, and I finally got to eat lunch, and then I was like, the show's done. I was like, oh, and Jen was on the bed, taking a break, playing Animal Crossing, and I grabbed my Switch and came in and laid next to her on the clean laundry and played Animal Crossing for 20 minutes, and then popped over and did the show, and it's like, that's rad. That's really cool, and having lunch together and like just seeing each other, it's nice. I like being around her. I like you. Patrick writes in, we're on the final 3 here, ladies and gentlemen, and says, hey, Greg, hope all is well. Been at home, ordered for a week now here in Iowa. It's very depressing and hard to get out of the funk. Animal Crossing has been great. Breaks with the wife and kids help too, and also, still, we have cool friends. But not being able to go to a movie, eat out to eat, etc. is taking a toll on me. Any tips on getting through this uncertain and scary time? Thanks for all you do, and shout out to all of Kind of Funny for getting us through technical hiccups. Shout out to all of Kind of Funny for getting through technical difficulties to bring a sense of normalcy to my day. Your friend Patrick. Yeah, of course. I don't know. I don't know where you live. I thought maybe you mentioned it because somebody else I thought mentioned it later. I don't know where you live, so it's difficult to do that kind of stuff. For us, I know that like all the Caviar and Uber Eats and all that, they've waived delivery charges, so you could still do takeout and stuff. One of Jen's big things, and mine too, but she's really waving the flag, is continuing to support the local businesses here who are doing delivery and takeout. Obviously, we have so many favorite restaurants that it's going to be so fucking hard on restaurants right now unless Congress passes some stuff. And so trying to support the best way we can, whether it is buying gift cards, I've tweeted about this over the weekend, but like Andy Town here in San Francisco is doing a thing where since their business is so dramatically down, they're having it online. You can buy healthcare workers coffee and like pastries, and they'll go deliver them. So you can go support people that way. In terms of, though, for you inside your house, outside of just ordering food, like I think you can make events out of things, right? Like you can't go to the movies, but you can plan a movie and a dinner, right? You are going to get The Way Back, right, with Ben Affleck and Janina off of Amazon. You're going to watch it this night at 7 p.m., so you're going to make, you're going to make a very specific meal. Last night Jen made buffalo chicken sandwiches, and it was a big deal how we're going to do them, what we're going to do, and then we all played Animal Crossing on the couch together. Like, you can make little events like that. And it's easier, like I'm saying, of like the fact that us three don't see each other and interact with each other during the day because we all have so much business to do. But I think setting up events like that kind of mirror what you would normally do are helpful. Good luck. Lewis writes in, says, salutations, Greg. I hope you're well. First, I want to say congratulations on fostering such a great team of people. Kind of Funny truly feels like a company/family you always talk about. One where you can take a step back for a day or two and the machine keeps humming along. Have you been able to relax a bit and enjoy the deeper bench? Or do you still feel the constant burden of having to be on and hustling to secure the next guest or hosting gig? Well, Lewis, no, 100% I definitely feel I've been enjoying the bench. I think the fact that, this morning, me and Kevin woke up and were online at 7:30 in the morning to make sure the Borderlands show that was live at 7:45 on Twitch for Borderlands. After that, I had some calls, and then, I'm not on Games Daily today. I am not on Screencast today. I don't have, outside of this, obviously, a real piece of Kind of Funny content to do, right, until the Kind of Funny podcast this afternoon at 2 p.m., which is unheard of from back in the day, right? I have a call coming up in 9 minutes now to do something else for work, but these are the moments, when we hired Blessing, and obviously when we hired Barrett and everybody else down the line, right, it was these ideas of getting to this point where I can step back and Tim can step back and Nick can step back and the shows keep going, number one, but also the audience doesn't flip out. That was my biggest fear of bringing Blessing in was, we're messaging him obviously as the first Kind of Funny Games hire because he's the first person we hired that, your job is to work on Kind of Funny Games, like not Kind of Funny, even though you will obviously. There was the concern of, cool, and I'm going to put him on a bunch of shows, but how quickly should I let him go on his own? How much should I be there? How do we balance it so that the comments aren't, ugh, it's this guy again. Greg's never on the shows. Oh my God. And that has not happened. It's 3 months now and nobody's like, where's Greg? It's Blessing again. They're all fucking stoked to hear about Sonic for the 19th time. Like, that's how it should be. You know what I mean? That's what I want it to be. We want to bring in the right people that have the right relationship with the audience and can go off to the races while we do other stuff. And then I can come back and I can do the show. He can step aside. We can do all these different things. And the passing of the baton right now to actually give yourself a chance to breathe, which I didn't have last week, which is why I was so stressed out. It's great. And then the final question. And back here on the 24th, Anakin JMT writes in with a simple one. What's your take on this whole Taylor Swift / Kanye thing reigniting? This got mentioned to me yesterday, I think by Jen, maybe by Luce, that it was happening. I was like, wait, what? I thought it was the call leaked. I'm like, who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? And so like I saw this, when I read ahead today, I saw that. I was like, oh shit. So I went and read about it and I'm just like, oh my God, can we just stop? Who cares? And shout out to Taylor Swift for just being like, I'm not going to talk about it. Swipe up for the real story. And you swipe up and it goes to Feed America. You fucking do you, Taylor. Kanye is a son of a bitch. I said it, all right? He's a son of a bitch. He's a coward. He's an asshole. He ruined that speech. His music's pretty good. But I'll tell you what, I'll never forgive him for that MTV award show. I will never forgive him for what he did to Taylor Swift. And so I'm happy that, the documentary for Taylor came out and everybody watched it and they were like, yeah, okay, she's cool. Most people are like, she's cool. And then it's like, yeah, she is cool. And so, yeah, it's Kanye. Get out of here, putting this fucking leaking calls out, Kim Kardashian. I don't even understand. I don't even get it. Let him be. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been your Gregway and streaming test, which I think went pretty well. I'll have to watch it and probably all fucked up. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Again, thank you for supporting us legitimately while we work from home and figure all this out and work on the content and make sure we're making the right stuff for you. No, we love and appreciate you. We love you. Your support's amazing. Couldn't do it without you. And yeah. I think that's it. So now I'm going to try another test here where I'm going to go to the standby thing, which I said no sound, but it seems like the sound is universal now. So I'm going to hit it. Well, I hit it. So I hit it and then it only did. Oh, hold on. I see what I'm doing wrong. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, it's been my pleasure to serve you.